Against this right back, Charlie's definitely.
Still the foot.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man.
Come on, Ian. Thank you very much for that. People deluded. I'm back again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. Hope you're doing well and safe. Hope the week has been great to you lot, people. Hope this week continues to be great, and next week and next year is, even bigger and better for you lot in your personal and private lives. On that, I hope you and your loved ones are in good health. One love for tuning back into my regular viewers. As you know, we've grown our platform to just over 50,000 subs, and the train hasn't stopped. We keep going. Same goes for the Twitch ones. Make sure you're following on both. All information is in my description. I appreciate the support. I'm very appreciative of what we have here. Obviously, if you haven't hit the like button, haven't got your notifications on, and haven't subscribed, make sure you're doing that, especially if you're new, because you're hooked. Now, again, we're gearing up to January, silly season. The dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. In relation to transfer news, do I believe Enzo Fernandez to Arsenal? Hell no, people. But at least it's a talking point. So enough waffling, enough rambling. Let me share my screen with you lot. Now, World Cup winning Enzo Fernandez, who again is going to cost a pretty penny if Arsenal, Liverpool, any team, Man United are linked with him. You need to get these guys when they're in their homelands, because once they've touched Benfica and them sort of clubs, they're the perfect investors. They know that they'll sell them to a higher ranking European club or a stronger league for double, maybe even triple the money. And again, I think he won young player of the tournament, arguably is in a lot of people's players of the tournament. Fantastic player, a lot to grow, a lot of scope to grow. Apparently, we was looking at him before he joined Benfica. He's barely got his feet under the door. But for what it's worth, Arsenal make contact with agents of Enzo Fernandez. Now, again, if minimal, the 21-year-old, surely, even though he's just joined Benfica, is in line for at least an improved deal. So again, we need to look at this a bit objectively. The dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. Great player. Would solve a lot of problems in midfield, 21 years of age, resale value, scope to be here for a number of years. There's many things to like about him. But apparently Arsenal made contact with the agent of Enzo Fernandez as the race for his signature heats up, according to Ojogo. Now, we could just be another name thrown in because we need a midfielder because of the project we're trying to undertake, and he probably is going to another club. But it is well, it is, people. As you know, as the World Cup went on, him and Julian Alvarez started to get more of a look in Argentina's squad, and they enhanced their reputation beyond the obvious, people. Fantastic passer of a ball, long, short range, good engine. There's a lot of technical brilliance. There's a lot to like about him. In fact, the list of clubs in Ojogo's piece goes into double figures, with Arsenal among those to have made contact with his agent about a potential move. Maybe we've made contact to see the feasibility, what sort of contract, what sort of fee they reckon it would require for Benfica, his willingness to sign for us, etc., etc. Can I see this happening in Jan? Of course not, but you never know. As noted in the report, Benfica have little intention of accepting a bid for Fernandez. Instead, any side looking to sign the youngster is going to have to be prepared to trigger his 105 million release clause. And that goes for him, that goes for Ramos of Portugal, and plenty of other players. You look at Kudus, you look at Cody Gakpo, players of this ilk. Moves didn't happen for them in the summer. They had a lot of interest. Their prices have ballooned. Do I see Arsenal spending that even in the summer? Probably not, but I don't work for Arsenal. I'd love to be wrong. They've listed Chelsea, Tottenham, as well as Arsenal in whole host with a lot of list of clubs that want him. Allegedly, Liverpool were close to getting him, really, but they've been linked with Bellingham and Fernandez. If they bring both in, I think it's unfair, isn't it? But yeah, people, it would surprise me if we were willing to buy that. So I think there's admiration for the player, but unless we're proven wrong, and we did activate the release clause for Thomas Partey, I mean, 45 million quid and 105 million are two different things, especially where you don't know if we're going to be in the Champions League, be in the Europa League, be in No Europe, win the Premier League. And, all of these things are still subjective, and they have a trickle effect financially. But if Kroenke and that are reportedly ready to back Arteta and things, then we'd all love to be surprised, innit? And you know, Arteta's been here 3 years. Give him a decent player and a decent, decent present for being here in his 3rd year anniversary. We'd all love to see him, people. We've been linked with a young Turkish lad, Arda Guler, 17-year-old. We was linked with him last season. Allegedly, his release clause is 5 million, and depending on appearances for his current club, Fenerbahce, it rises to 5. Now, again, from what I've seen, technical, good player, good balance, good awareness off the ball. There's a lot to like about him. We need to improve physically, but there's a lot to like about him. If Arteta wants it, make it happen, innit? Arsenal reportedly one of 4 clubs that have tabled a serious offer for the 17-year-old sensational Arda Guler, who currently plies his trade with Fenerbahce. The Gunners are looking to strengthen their side for future seasons, have already signed Brazilian unknown Marquinhos. Remains to be seen if he's going to have a short, long-term or medium future at this football club. Depending if we get Mudryk and these sort of players, he probably should go out on loan. I don't know if Reece Nelson's injury has impacted any of those plans. Goulet made his appearance at the end of last season. He's played in the Europa League qualifying match, people, and he's went on to feature 16 more times in that competition, getting 3 goals and 5 assists in 373 minutes. I mean, he's of Turkish descent. He's left-footed, plays for Fenerbahce. Fair enough, a certain German international of Turkish descent went to Fenerbahce after, but, you know, Ozil, agent Ozil, go put some work in, really and truly, people. And he's making inroads where the international scene is concerned. So maybe if we could spend 5 million, either let him stay at Fenerbahce for the rest of the season or let him go out on loan or bring him in. Why not? If he's got potential, you know, for resale value purposes and obviously to help us on a football field in years to come. We're one of 4 clubs, people. Allegedly, PSG, Dortmund and Ajax are all thought to be keen on him, people. His preference is to join Ajax. You can't blame him. He'd develop more easily there. He'd get more opportunities and they would sell him for a profit. PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, minutes would probably be limited at this moment in time. Dortmund like to do the project thing as well, as you've seen with Makoko probably leaving. Sancho came back to England after going to Dortmund. Jude Bellingham's going to go for a pretty sum, whether he goes to Spain, England, or whoever else wants him, people. He's under contract until 2025, people, and it says it's not clear whether he'll be able to leave in Jan. If he's got a release clause and it's activated, why not? But again, Fenerbahce are in a title race. As you can see, they're 2 points clear of Galatasaray. So I'm sure they're not going to want to let their highly rated 17-year-old leave in January. Maybe you buy him and you loan him back, and next summer he gets involved in things. As you can see here, this is also echoed the same comments here, people. Allegedly, somebody, I guess, you know, the president of Fenerbahce, if we win the league this season, our chances of Champions League football are high. Goulet could be among the team captains next season and prove yourself on the highest stage, which is true. You've got no real reason to leave Fenerbahce at the moment. You know, in today's day and age, any good 16, 17-year-old, it's like they play 2 games, buy them now. It's never like what they become. It's always what they can become. It's never what they are now. So there's nothing wrong with necessarily staying in his homeland. If he feels he's outgrown, he wants to take a more competitive step, then why not, you know? But yeah, I think the president is right with that. With the experience gained, you'll move on to the next step of your journey with stronger foundations and everyone will be behind you. Experience can be overrated, but it can never be understated. And you're playing in a footballing crazy country like Turkey. You're playing, you know, in a good league. You know, can't be nice for an attacking player. The amount of tackles I see fly around in Turkish football whenever I watch the highlights is crazy, isn't it? So it could help you, especially if they're in the Champions League, and just get you a bit more experience. You look at someone like Neymar. I'm sure he was 21, 22 odd, maybe even 23 before he actually left Santos to go Barca. Don't quote me on that, but he didn't do the Vinicius thing, like you're leaving at 18, where it's taken Vinicius, who's only 21, last 18 months, maybe 2 years to start showing. I think people really underestimate how hard it is for young players to be consistent, especially nowadays. If you're good at 15, 16, you've got to be the finished article at 18, where it doesn't work like that, really, like in any job. If you want to be a Michelin star chef, you're going to cut your fingers and probably fail to cut an onion properly on several occasions, but you'll get there one day, innit, really and truly. So he's not wrong, but he's got another 3 years remaining on his deal. Again, in relation to Mudryk, 50, 60 million for Mudryk does not seem incredible. This is obviously Google Translate hasn't helped us at all with this. Apparently, a famous Ukrainian commentator has spoken and estimated the winger's chances of, I guess, leaving. He said, "We can easily decide the destinies of great football players, because we are not under pressure of responsibility. And here we are talking about the opportunity to earn crazy money for the club by Ukrainian standards. Fred was sold to Manchester United for 60 million euros. Once in how many years it happens? Is this Fred? Once in 3, 5, 10? Are Shakhtar managers right with their economic requests? Only time will tell. Time and reality will judge everyone. After all, even in the summer, I was convinced that Mudryk would be sold, or better yet, should be sold for 30 million euros. Now 50 to 60 does not seem incredible. Fair enough, really and truly. Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. On that as well, people, Martinelli apparently is getting closer to signing a new deal, if you believe reports out of Sport, where Barca have allegedly been looking at him. He's close to extending his deal until 2027. As you know, we're allegedly in talks with him, Saliba and Bukayo Saka to sign new deals, and which is important in terms of helping us in the short, medium and long term, also providing resale value. As much as I want these guys to stay forever, we've got to remember they've come to love Arsenal. Apart from Saka, they didn't grow up here really. And that sometimes love isn't enough. If the project doesn't correlate with what they want to do and they want to move on, that's great. But just make sure we're in a position to get significant sums, because we're doing this youngster thing early to mid-20s. There carries a resale value. If we're able to get top money like some clubs demand of players we want, and we reinvest that, we keep moving. He's drawn interest from Barcelona. Allegedly, he's close to signing a new deal until 2027. But until that's on Arsenal.com, I'm very pessimistic on just that he signed it. Yeah, I hope he has. But yeah, I just need that confirmation. Alex Crook, football correspondent, allegedly, I assume working for TalkSport, has said Fulham are close to sealing the signing of Cedric, people, where he'll link up with his former teammate in Leno. I mean, gassing it up, Sam. Fantastic player now, very close to leaving Arsenal and joining another Premier League side. I mean, Cedric's okay, but fantastic. That's a mad thing. He's now very close to leaving. I mean, is that on loan or is that permanent? You know, with him being contracted until 2024, you'd probably like to see him go permanently. We have got Tomiyasu and Ben White who can play there. At a push, Saliba can play right back as well. But as you know, Tomiyasu is very touch and go with injuries. Again, things can happen, innit? So I could understand if we sanction it going, again, hoping we bring someone else in. I could also understand if Arteta says, no, you know what? I hear you and you wanting to go, but you're staying until the end of the season, doing what you're doing, hanging around like a spare part, because you look at January, potentially not bringing in a striker or a midfielder or anyone last Jan. As much as I admire the club for not buying for the sake of it, kind of harmed our chances, because we, you know, anytime you have more games and less of a squad you're demanding. But so it's all on top of bringing in a striker and a midfielder, but it's also not saying Chambers, Ainsley Maitland-Niles and them kind of brothers would have helped us, but we let players go really. You know, if it's winter, you'd rather have too many jackets and have the luxury to take some off rather than go out there in a hoodie and you just have to be cold. That was kind of how I looked at last summer. So we'll have to see. It doesn't shed any light on if it's permanent, if it's loan, whatever in it, people. So we'll have to see how that one develops. We were linked with Cunha. It was a bit tentative in relation to Cunha links, but apparently, you know, Fabrizio Romano has done his famous "here we go." Mateus Cunha to Wolves, here we go. Full verbal agreement reached between clubs with Atletico and also on personal terms. It's a loan with an obligation to buy of around 40 to 50 million euros. So I could understand Arsenal's reluctance and hesitation to commit before we've even got into January to go with that, because we've been linked with a whole bunch of other players, really, especially if essentially he was just going to be a body to occupy stuff until Jesus was there. And obviously, he's a decent player, hasn't really hit the heights of Atletico like many attacking players. We have to have known about him because when Guendouzi was on loan at Hertha Berlin, he was playing there. So when we're going to do our scouting reports and monitor the progress of Matteo at the time, we had to have come across my man, where it's about consistency. He's a good player, but it's about consistency. There's no point being able to do it once in 5 games. So Wolves' losses are gain George Mendes client, I believe. So yeah, he's parking them off. He's got a busy January, you know, finding Cunha a new club, Asensio at Real Madrid, potentially a new club / a new deal. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo, who's apparently close to getting a big move to the Middle East. Allegedly, João Felix, who apparently he wants to park at Aston Villa, been linked with a whole bunch of clubs, especially the top 6 in the Premier League and especially Arsenal. So I don't know. Big up Gabby Jesus. He said second week gone, and I'm no medical man, but, you know, recovery in it, his knees in a brace. Rest up soon, King. You'll be back soon. We spoke on this earlier. Check out the YouTube playlist, people. But Arsenal have shown an interest in Brighton and Hove Albion midfielder Alex McAllister of Brighton, people. And this says it as well. Arsenal and Atletico are teams already showing an interest in the Brighton midfielder, with his World Cup performances to undoubtedly open the doors of the best European team sooner or later. Respectfully, you know, that's fact. Newcastle toe-to-toe with Arsenal for 50 million box office signing in January after green light is given. Is he that keen on joining Newcastle? Respectfully, they've got a great project and they're about to, you know, try and disrupt the top 6. But from what we've heard, you know, I don't think he'll go there. But What do I know? They've showed a lot of willingness, but they're apparently ready to go toe to toe with Arsenal. And they'll probably pay Shakhtar more than we're, you know, if money talks, they'll probably pay him and Shakhtar a lot more than we might be prepared to go, really. The report suggests that Mudryk would likely cost 50 million plus in January, with his contract not up until 2026. We all know the astronomical prices, and, you know, 100 million euros, 87 million. It's a bit of a myth. So we'll have to see. He did say, Shakhtar for me is my home. All my thoughts are only about Shakhtar in the winter, which is upon us. If it's not here already, we will see. I think every guy dreams about playing in the Premier League. Arsenal is a very good side, very good coach. I like the way they play. From my side, I can't say no to Arsenal, but a transfer is not only my decision, people. So we'll have to see if that is really true, but it is what it is. Pardon me. In relation to Zanolio, Fabrizio Romano has poured cold water on this and said Arsenal are yet to hold talks with Roma over the signing of midfielder Nicolo Zanolio, despite speculation in Italy linking him to the Gunners. His contract, you know, him, Benassia, Milinkovic-Savic all have something in common. They're in talks to get new deals at their clubs. That's probably where, obviously, the clubs probably have admiration for these talents. We'll take them, but that's the bulk of it. And just for me personally, I'm very pessimistic on anything that links us with our players going to Italy or us signing players that are playing their trade in Italy. We've been taken around the houses with Xhaka to Roma, with Torreira to several Italian-based clubs, with Vlahovic, with Locatelli, and I'm probably missing out a whole host of names, really and truly. So he's poured cold water on that, people. He claims that Arsenal have not yet held talks with Zanolio, and there's currently no plans to do so, people. So that kind of quashes reports that we had held talks to hijack Spurs' potential move for the midfielder. So we'll have to see how that one develops. But in relation to transfer news, we've covered Enzo Fernandez, spoken on Cedric, talked on Mudryk, talked on Cunha, talked on the young Fenerbahce lad, Arda Guler. So that's all I've got to say, people. I appreciate you lot tuned in. Make sure you're smashing the like button, you're subscribing, you're commenting when this video premieres and also after. It's an all-interactive, it's an all-inclusive and an interactive platform. Make sure you're following on the socials. Make sure you've hit the like button. Most importantly, stay blessed, stay safe, and I'll see you lot soon, people. Appreciative of you lot tuning in.
He always used that active red light, defending.